projection. When you have a projection within your field, this is your hologram. If this is you, you put it thought. The thought takes a frequency within your matrix and creates another matrix, reality within the reality. That becomes a frequency sound wave. So that thought becomes a hologram, reality within the reality. One hologram collective and another of the thought, which is actually within your ether, is not being crystallized yet. Your heart also has a resonance. When you have the thought, which immediately gets projected in your holographic collective, becomes the ether, just a thought, starting to pulsate. When you include the emotion now, while you're thinking, at the same time you do the emotion, and the emotion activates that hologram, starting to pulsate in completely different frequency. But there's another level. Those two together that create magnetic and gravitational field can have positive or negative input. So your emotion could go in a negative, your emotion could be expressed in a positive. And the outcome of the collapse, whatever you do, is going to be that hologram will manifest when you keep doing it over and over and over again, will manifest in the outcome of positive or negative. That hologram becomes a sound wave, and that sound wave could have positive or negative input. There's also conversion of positive and negative input. You need to know how this works and how is permanent constructive holographic imprint. When does become a permanent? So you have a one hologram, you project, you fluctuate, then again you do the same thing, but that fluctuation will be positive or negative. Again, the next momentum you shift positive or negative, and then which one of the common denominator between those two actions that you end up taking will be based on if you converted your emotion to positive right now, and the next momentum when you have a situation again and again in a positive. This is how you can reclaim the sovereignty. Do you remember that we're talking about fractal timeline? One projection like this will basically be one momentum in consciousness of one hologram with you in it in one momentum. Becomes like a picture frame. And your frequency, sound wave, and projection will be based on what was your intention and what have you chosen to feel in that moment. So the collapse between those two, the entire timeline is going to be in a similar frequency because you have chosen to switch your emotion from positive or negative. Consciousness is looking at that only like an experience, wants to be in complete balance. The next time you carry again the heart and you carry again the heart. So your end result of this timeline is going to end up in a positive. So this is how you have a fractal timeline and you become a permanent timeline, but becomes constructive. This is your other level. Constructive is when you have specific potency. And how do you create the potency? The entire timeline is actually a sound wave that has a hologram, has sub-realities within a timeline. There could be infinite of fractal momentums of you choosing in a daily basis. End up constructing it by choosing your quantum structure in a now, and in a now, and in the now, the common denominator end up being in the positive. But even with that, consciousness is still learning. In order for you to really move to the next level and really reclaim your sovereignty, you cannot put a judgment on the negative. You can complain it, and you cannot reject the negative, because the negative is also part of the entire consciousness itself. It's part of the yin and yang within the field itself. You see somebody is doing something in front of you Remember that that somebody also has its own timeline of reality acknowledged by your analytical process that does not connect with you in a way because your heart vibration is denominator on the positive. You don't reject, you mutate by saying, I understand what's happening, but I can create whatever I want. Why? Because even that person is part of your collective hologram that you end up also projecting within the field of your fluctuation within the time space, longitude, altitude. Remember. Now, if you are able to withhold, your emotion becomes a 0 point. 0 point equal of complete infinity within the field of basically equality, complete equality within the field of the structure. Why is that? Because at the moment you project rejection, if that was negative emotion from the rejection, immediately you're feeding the same hologram within this field, and you actually inflating more the vibration of the negative is feeding off of your rejection because you're projecting the same negative input. You have to be in balance. When you see that somebody is negative, you have to say, stop right there. But when you acknowledge everything, you're actually controlling the entire field within the quantum structure in neutrality, because when you become from the analytical process of your consciousness in complete awareness by understanding what the holographic input output is, the input is from you, the output also could be from them. So the awareness is your 0 point, within that 0 point becomes a, remember I was talking about black hole, that nothing is in there, is complete stillness. But in that stillness is actually the portal that when you want to now shift to the next momentum and convert your action with positive, you're actually going to go through the portal and you're going to shift your consciousness, which is going to come to the new reality.